Our next guest is a Tony Award-winning performer and playwright. You may have heard of her show Bridge and Tunnel, which was a critically acclaimed hit on Broadway. She is also a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. She travels the world speaking out on violence against children. She's performed for audiences from Indonesia to Ethiopia, the Middle East, and Japan. She's been recognized with many awards, of course, but here's a true distinction. She is the first artist in history to sue the FCC for censorship, and she won. It was an effort that resulted in the reversal of the FCC ruling that had targeted her hip-hop poem, Your Revolution. She recently performed at the White House, and she is currently at work on a commission for Lincoln Center Theater. So we are delighted to welcome to the Ford Foundation stage Sarah Jones and a number of her friends who will undoubtedly have some very pointed insights.
Excuse me, everybody. I'm very sorry. This is not very professional. My name is Miss Lady. Good afternoon. I apologize. Excuse me. I apologize. I know y'all expect Sarah Jones. But my name is Miss Lady, and since this is the theatrical performance, I am here with you this afternoon as part of the Homeless Ushers in the Theaters of New York program. If you are not familiar with this program, it is part of a citywide plan to help clean up the streets and also give homeless people some culture. As I said, the organization, they want people to know about the work they're trying to do. The acronym for Homeless Usher in the Theaters is HUT, HUT, and they like to say is even if we don't have home, we can at least have HUT. Me personally, I do appreciate the opportunity to be more in culture. And as I like to tell people, please do not feel sorry for me because I'm homeless. Feel sorry for me because I have now seen Mary Poppins the musical over 400 times. I would like a little bit more brain than what I get to see, but I don't get to tune in there. Anyway, Sarah Jones on her way here, and I told her that I appreciate this opportunity to be an usher for y'all today because this is a very special gathering of people. She told me y'all working on making the cities better for everybody, and even including people like me. And I told her I appreciate that. I want to have my chance to say something to y'all and say what I want to say. So she said, Miss Lady, okay, please, just keep it to your usher duties and don't go up on the stage. But I'm going to do what I want to do. Because this is one chance I get to say what I got to say. Now, I want y'all to know a few things about me that you might not know if you just pass by me on the street, like sometimes people walk by me like I ain't even there, And I came up to New York from Raleigh, North Carolina. Y'all know where that's at? No, you don't. That's all right. But anyway, important thing about that is I came up here from Raleigh because, it was more opportunity in New York City. I know that's what y'all talking about, opportunity. And I was young back then. I was smart and pretty too. I still had all my teeth and everything. And I was a different person, very ambitious. You understand? You couldn't get nowhere in Raleigh, North Carolina when I was young if you a black person, because we had what you call segregation. That was a part of what it meant to be a city. You understand me? So I had to come someplace where it was a different kind of public policy. And I did my best to try to find what opportunity I could. But even in the northern city, time when I came, all the opportunities ain't the same for all the people. I want certain kind of job, they don't want me. Or I want to live certain kind of place, maybe they don't want me neither. I remember I went to a real estate man looking for an apartment, and he told me he don't have nothing for my price range, before I told him how much money I had. So I'm trying to tell you, all cities ain't what it look like on the outside for everybody. And I know that's what y'all here trying to talk about it. Now, I tell you like this. I know it's some places that don't want certain people, and y'all trying to fix that. But I also know opportunity have to exist for everybody to be able to pull themselves along. You understand me? Everybody want to contribute. Don't nobody want to be homeless. Anybody tell you that? Tell them, all right, good, I'll trade with you then. That's what I tell them. You give me what you got. You think I got it so good, you come on here and take what I got, and we trade. So I like people realize, you know, I got sick and fell on hard times, got laid off of my job. You know, when the job disappeared, what you supposed to do? So I want people to know, yes, I've been out here on the street a long time now, just trying to survive. And sometimes people, they pull up in their car at a red light. I'll ask them for some change, you know. And they just too busy looking in their mirror, you know. And you know what I tell them? I tell them, look at me. I am your mirror, you know. But they all the time think I'm some crazy deadbeat. So that's why I'm going to tell y'all today when I get me a chance. And I want y'all to know something else. That maybe some people think they know me when you pass somebody like me on the street, but you don't know my story and why I'm in this city. You don't know what kind of potential I have. I didn't have no same education opportunity like some people. But that don't mean I'm not smart, that I couldn't help make the world a better place if somebody gave me the opportunity. So that's why I want y'all to realize, I know y'all got a lot of knowledge about cities and all this. Y'all very intelligent. But I consider myself an expert too. If somebody asks me, shoot, I tell people when I travel with Sal Jones, I tell them, I got my PhD. Poor, homeless, and disabled. Well, I like to tell people I got plenty of experience living out here on these streets, if you want to know about this city. I tell them, I got everything y'all got, except tenure. That's an academic joke. That's right. Anyway, I told Sal Jones I'm going to leave y'all with one thing today. So what I want you to know, I've been looking at y'all video and all y'all wonderful materials. Y'all very smart people. I appreciate everything you're doing. But I want y'all to know one thing I could see. All these cities all around the world, you know what they got in common? Homeless. Every one of them got homeless. And then I like to say, I think homeless the wrong word for it anyway. That's right, because, you know, when you talk about somebody homeless, I think about myself. I might don't have no place for me to lay my head at night sometime. I might not have me no house, but that just make me houseless. I tell you what I believe. As long as when I look in my mirror, I know what I see. I know who I am. I got love for myself. I'm going to always have me a home. See, if you really want to know who homeless, you need to ask some of these people got 3 and 4 and 5 houses. I think it's cause they looking for something, you know. They looking for something besides just job in these cities. Looking for something they ain't gonna find, you understand? I think what they looking for is just love for themselves and other people. And I'm gonna tell it to you like this. I believe justice, that's what y'all talking about today, the just city. I think if you ask me, all justice is just love. I think Martin Luther King said it all. Justice is nothing more than an active demonstration of love for your entire community. Oh, no, he didn't really say that. I think I made that one up myself. But it don't matter. Y'all believe me. Y'all believe me. Because it's true. That's right. Love is justice. Justice is love. So I think y'all could have called this forum the Love City. even though that probably would have left the wrong impression in the middle of the afternoon. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for what you do sincerely. Don't forget about people like Miss Lady. Keep on doing what you do. I thank you. And remember, if you see somebody like me, you could thank me back with cash. Enjoy the rest of the show. Sarah Jones on the way.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you very much. Thank you ever so much. That was very kind of you. I appreciate Miss Lady being willing to be my usher. And I am so grateful to be here among many new friends and a few familiar faces as well, which is fantastic. I'd like to thank Ford for having me be part of this. And as you heard, I do multi-character performances in the theater. So I do portray people of various different ethnicities, like in my one-person show, Bridge and Tunnel, which I did on Broadway. And I'm grateful to say that the original development of Bridge and Tunnel was made possible by the generous people here at Ford, so thank you very much. And I should say that on top of the vital importance of this forum and the Just City, and kind of being surrounded by such distinguished participants, this is kind of a homecoming for me. And I remember thinking, what could I possibly have to say that would be, I don't know, compelling enough to tie in all the various intersecting themes that you're looking at today, and kind of what's the relevance of my work. And so at first I thought, perhaps a really mellifluous sounding English accent might help things a bit. And then I thought, no, I should just get up there and just be myself, and just talk the way I really talk. Oh, yes. Well, after all, this conference, this forum, is convened to honor the diverse city dwellers in all of their glory and all of their authentic voices. So I should just use my own authentic voice, besides which I do speak the Queen's English. I am from Queens, New York. Yay! But I should say that my background is quite connected to this notion of a just city, and many of my characters, a few of whom you'll meet today, are loosely based on people I know from my real life as a New Yorker. And I come from a multicultural family that includes African American on my dad's side with some Caribbean roots there, and on my mom's side, my grandmother was Irish American and German American. There are both Christians and Jews on that side of the family. It's a long story filled with intrigue and interfaith guilt. Yes. And my grandfather's family has roots in the Caribbean with some Dominicans thrown in there just for good measure. So it's, our Thanksgiving table looked a lot like the delegates' dining room at the UN. But one thing that all of my forebears had in common is they converged on this city for employment and education and just the kind of life opportunities, cultural opportunities, self-determination that were only available here and certainly not where they were. So inspired by that idea, I have brought along a few of my friends, and they'll share their take on what a just city means to them.
Okay, here we go. Wonderful. Good afternoon. Okay, there you are. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. It's wonderful to be here with every one of you. My name is Lorraine Levine, and what a prestigious honor it is to share this afternoon with all of you. It's wonderful. And I want to start by saying that as I said, I'm honored to be here, but I'm no architect or, not one of the people who's, coming with the big idea. So I don't want to take much of your precious time. I know you have a lot of work to do. You're trying to grapple with all of the various problems that are, plaguing the modern city around the world, which of course is where more than, half of the world's people now live. So no pressure. Sure. Well, you know, on the bright side, you have a whole day. I saw your schedule. So. Okay. Wonderful. Well, so anyway, I'm glad you're in a good mood. And I am actually also here because of Sarah Jones, who you just met, the young girl. She's a very nice young black performer. And she calls herself black. She's really more like a caramel color if you look at the skin, in my opinion. Or a mocha, or which I think it's a lovely skin tone. There's nothing wrong with it. So, okay. But anyway, as I said, it's such a pleasure to be here and to be part of this with all of, I read some of your biography sketches. It's like, such experts, such accomplished people. Your parents must be very proud of all of what you're doing, yes. And, I find, the ideas are fascinating for me, but especially because when I think back to my youth, when I first came to this city as a little girl, my family came here as immigrants from Eastern Europe. Back when the map, I know some of you, you're mapping and doing all of these different things. Please come to my house. You'll be able to finally tell us where we're really from. But anyway, I was going to say that, as a young girl, so very many years ago, and I won't divulge my actual age, but let's just say I understand the Ford Foundation, this is your 75th anniversary. Okay, well, I'm several years your senior. But I like to think of myself as living proof that over 80 is the new 70. So anyway, it was a very different time then, and I feel now, today, almost it's unimaginable, the kinds of advancements and, just the fact that when you look around in this room at all the different people from the different backgrounds who are collaborating at such a high level, you have to understand, this would have been unimaginable in my day. Really, the room, it looks just like a rainbow. It's okay to say rainbow, I think. Yes, okay, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay. But anyway, because nowadays, like I said, with the technology, it will be on the YouTube, and then my kids will be calling me saying, why did you say what you said? I saw it 2 seconds ago, even now, like one of your presentations had with even the President of the United States is doing the Twitter, you couldn't have imagined. I remember even when my grandchildren first, I started hearing about this, I have the Twitter, my grandma, I have the Twitter, this just sounds like a disorder, you should call your doctor, I have this horrible Twitter, But I understand how important it is to your work and how these technologies, they're growing every day and they're making it possible for the world to improve. Like I was teasing earlier about the GPS, but what they were able to do in Kenya, it's just astonishing. So all of this to say, I feel, even if I can't with the technology, I tell Sarah, I've tried, but what can I do? In my day, your laptop was just the place where you put your napkin. You know what I'm saying to you? Think about it. Yeah. But all the improvements that you all are making will continue to impact cities across the generations, and that really, it warms my heart. Sarah was telling me how some of what you're able to do, people, not just the experts can participate, but young kids getting involved, as young as 12 or 13, developing a passion for these things. And I remember thinking, 12 or 13, I have candies in my purse older than 12 or 13, But these kids are so motivated. They're so curious. And because of how the world is changing, they're leading the future right along the rest of you. So I can't thank you enough. I hope that along with all of the other innovations and developments, I get to, see even more of what you're creating. But I guess I'll just leave you by saying, I, again, couldn't have imagined a day like today, but you give me, you make me think I must be doing something right, that I'm here in the room with everybody else. And I'll do my best to explain to my kids everything I remember learning from this experience. And, I'm not saying that I'm willing to get on the computer to do it, but, at the very least, I'll give them a phone call. So I thank you all for your wonderful generosity with your talents, and may your success continue. Congratulations. Mazel tov.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I am very, very excited to be here. My name is Nereida, and this is like an incredible opportunity that I'm just like trying to remind myself and not having an out-of-body experience right now, so I really have to get this right. Because this opportunity for me, especially that I know that you're talking about cities and justice and everything like that, and equality and diversity, and myself personally, I am half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, which is, well, I like to say that I'm not only half proud, I'm all proud of everything, but that I actually grew up in the capital of Dominican Republic. I like to joke about that. It's actually otherwise known as Washington Heights in New York City. Okay. But I don't know, I wasn't sure if it was going to be any other Dominicans here, but I had heard that it was, okay. ¿Cómo está? I also wanted to acknowledge that I think there's some Colombianos, maybe some Mexicanos here. So everybody who's here, whoever it is close enough right now for me, like wherever you're from. In fact, like even that I heard that there was like Italian food on the menu, I was like, that's kind of Latin, Romance language, whatever. Just to like be acknowledged that we're here. I always appreciate that so much. So, okay, so, and part of why this is such an exciting opportunity for me is that I am also a sophomore in college right now, and I am very interested right now in studying, like, I thought that I wanted to major, well, first of all, that's a long story, but basically, just that, for me, my interest is really growing in urban planning and the sustainability issues, so when Sarah Jones said that we were coming to this, I was like, get out of here, it's like, oh my God, it's crazy, the connection and everything, and so I was very excited, and then, like, I was just a little bit worried that I was gonna start to get nervous. I'm trying not to get nervous because, like, whenever I get nervous, I start to talk really fast. Nobody can understand anything I'm saying, which is very frustrating for me, as you can imagine. So I just have to try to like calm down and take a deep breath. Okay, so anyway, yes. So this idea about the just cities, for me, it's like a no-brainer, to talk about like the fact that I'm coming from Washington Heights, and then I'm learning in school about like, just certain like the dynamics within cities that can hurt, people of color or like low-income people, the environmental racism issues and stuff like that. So I am very aware of the differences and like how access. For some people, they have access to housing and they have access to really good schools and healthcare and better jobs. It just makes it as if like they are living in a different world, even though like we're on the same tiny island and I'm like 3 subway stops from them. And like to me, it made me realize from the time I was a very young kid that I have to sometimes rely on myself. And like our own communities end up relying on themselves. And like when I was in high school, I actually had co-founded an organization with some other girls, and just to like promote community development. And the name of my organization, by the way, it was called The BOMB. And it was high school. And the BOMB is an acronym. It stands for Dominican American Benevolent Organization for Mothers and Babies. And we were just like trying to work to like advocate for students, whether they are, at the high school level or they're going on to, even higher education, or also the women who didn't have access to those educational opportunities, but they're also working mothers. We just wanted to like show that all people deserve that empowerment. And then at a certain point, I was like, why do I have to do this? Like, I'm running this organization. I'm only 16 years old. Like, I should be chilling with my friends, They're all, like, on Facebook, whatever. Like, can you come to my party? And, I'm on Facebook, like, can you come to the rally at City Hall? Like, we're going to, like, protest the Rockefeller drug laws again, And it's like, where's my teenage life, But the thing is that I am grateful because if I wasn't doing that activist work, I wouldn't learn about, things like public policy, how it affects people, what does it mean, responsible land use and environmental planning, all of those kind of concepts, I wouldn't have had that. Even though I should say that in my community, I think that, the most hope some people have for green jobs would just be to get some jobs that pay them some green, which is like, I'm really serious about that, So, like, to really help people understand, like, a lot of people, that's their day-to-day reality. So, but I'm just trying to emulate what you guys are doing. I really want to combine my activism with, like, the business side. I don't think all business is evil or anything like that. I just think it has to be more responsible. And that, actually, in fact, I got an internship that turned into a job because they said I had leadership abilities. It's at a nonprofit, and right now, I just got promoted. So now I am the junior assistant to the associate director under the senior vice president for business development. Yeah, but I believe that, we have to tap into these opportunities for leadership at the grassroots level, but also make sure that, like, we let the grass grow, like, high and break the glass ceiling. I don't know, but, like, I just feel like we need to have these conversations with everybody invited to the table in all their different cultures, all their different languages. And that's why I appreciate so much the examples like Denver and just all the different things that I was reading and hearing about. That, like, that's what we need to have a real democracy for all people. And I mean, especially, I'm not going to lie, like, I look at Latinos in this country, it's like, like, we're about to be the majority in, like, 2 weeks. So we deserve just as much opportunity as everybody else to make sure that our voice is going to count, so that as we are developing, we have a real democracy for everyone. So I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. Muchísimas gracias a todos, and I will see you the next time, I hope. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so very pleased to be here. My name is Praveen Manvi. I want to just start by saying what an kind of, this is like a full circle for me to be here at this gathering. I met Sarah Jones here, actually, when she was doing some work with the Ford Foundation. And now to find that, well, first of all, I'm based for many years now in the US. At the time, I was living in Delhi. But I am originally from India, in case there was some confusion there. I am a human rights advocate. I am working with an NGO that is still currently based in Delhi, but I am doing kind of satellite work. And I want to say that in addition to meeting Sarah Jones in India, first here, and then that she was doing some performance around the country, she's a very nice woman, a bit tall. But other than that, she kind of fit in quite well. And I was thrilled when she told me that this forum will be taking us here to New York and back to the Ford Foundation. I should say that usually my work, it takes me to Washington, D.C., and there I must attend meetings with certain politicians who are trying to make me feel comfortable by telling how often they are eating the curry in Georgetown. So I want to just say, the feeling, okay? I want to just say that my human rights work actually grows out of two parts of my life, two distinct parts. And first, I should say that I am a physician, medical doctor by training. And by the way, even though I may look familiar, one woman thought that she recognized me from Columbia Presbyterian. I constantly have to tell people my joke that that was a different Indian doctor. Okay. Okay, and but you see, I'm often the victim of mistaken ID, except in my case, ID, it stands for Indian doctor. Okay.
A small bit of humor there. But what I do find so refreshing about this forum is that it not only is trying to kind of confront the challenges facing the contemporary cities, what are the decisions we must take, what are the kinds of intersections of the various, kind of what would appear to be competing interests on the one hand, but which we know that if we can possibly integrate those various, I know you must feel you've heard me do this before, but that we are trying to bring that conversation to, kind of a forward-moving place. But that we are kind of here looking not only at the challenges and the difficulties, but also let us look at the best practices, kind of let us celebrate innovation. Let us revel kind of in the positive magnetism that our cities hold. And that we must endeavor to share and spread this, as you put it so beautifully, urban leadership on the global stage. I like that one. I would love to borrow it. But as I said, part of my human rights framework does come from the fact of my training and my interest in public health. But the other part of my identity, I mentioned that my work around the public health in Washington, kind of that thing. What I did not say about it is that I occasionally found myself on Capitol Hill, where the former Senator Rick Santorum was among the planners of some of these convenings. And I have to say, I always enjoyed sharing with him that in addition to being a doctor, I am also a very proud and outspoken lesbian. And he considered these things to be impolite topics of conversation. So he has been sorely missed. But I will say in all seriousness, as someone concerned with urbanization and social justice issues concerning all human beings, of course, including the LGBT rights community, and I am looking at both the United States and the international community, this forum offers precisely the kind of brilliant hope for the future that I believe we need to sustain our work. So I will just say briefly that originally I wanted to give kind of a paper and a PowerPoint presentation. I kind of wanted to give lots of data because we always need more data. Let's face it, we even have the data which supports the data that one can never have enough data. Right? Okay. But we know that we have got that covered here. And, of course, coming from working with an NGO and also my kind of experience with the United Nations, we are often talking about the human rights issues, whether in urban centers or elsewhere, in the context of the Millennium Development Goals. But I do sometimes think people believe Millennium Development Goals means we should all just sit back and relax since we have at least 1,000 years before we have to do anything about that. But, I think that having the impact that you are having today on each other drives the impact that you will have now. I mean, this is not some far pie-in-the-sky future thing. We are talking about how can we impact now and the future. And I especially appreciate how you are able to connect various communities, the architects, the technology, the activists, so that, everyone comes together to dispel this pervasive myth that there is an us versus them agenda and that someone must lose. I think this increasingly urbanized and ever-shrinking planet proves clearly that there is only us. And so I appreciate that you all are helping create opportunities for the self-determination and the freedom to live in dignity for all people, because there can be no discussion of true urban equality and where people can prosper and drive the innovation and creativity that we associate with great cities unless we truly bring these people to the table. So in closing, I am not naive enough to think that these problems will just solve themselves overnight. And of course, there are times when it is all I can do to kind of stop thinking these thoughts, about but what if we had done this, and what if, this kind of forum, why did it go this way, etc. Just to stop that racing thinking that, of course, I alone can do everything, and, you all can go have a lemonade. I do struggle with even the kind of balance between thinking about cities and thinking about this and what is my own part in my own backyard, which all of you must deal with as well, I imagine. As high achievers and leaders in your field, public servants, the pressure is there. And I know we can be quite overwhelmed, not only with the work concerns, but also, as I said, your responsibility in your own community and your own life. And I'll just share that I remember before, when I was in medical school, trying to keep up with kind of volunteer work and carrying a full course load while planning, helping to plan my sister's wedding during exams. And this was a traditional Indian marriage ceremony, so you can take whatever wedding planning nightmare you can imagine and multiply it by about 5. And add elephants. And you can just imagine the logistics of that alone. It was, what I'm trying to say is that, like all of you here, I was committed to trying to do this work, of course, at the macro level, but also what can I do, my own part in my own backyard. So you all are doing that clearly, and so much more. And you do deserve to celebrate. Thank you for being models of the us that we can all look forward to around the world. And thank you for this. I'm really enjoying myself. I think that you throw a cracking good party. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest. Yeah. I'm saying good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate this opportunity to be here right now. I'm saying it's a little bit surreal and everything, you know what I'm saying? My name is Rashid. I'd like to start off by saying, first of all, it's a real honor to have an audience like this right here. You know what I'm saying? Sarah Jones had asked me, do I want to come take part in something like this? I'm like, bet, you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't happen to me every day, you know what I'm saying? So first of all, I want to say I ain't really want to come up here just, you know what I'm saying, bring the wrong energy. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes she be having me go, whatever, be in performances with her and everything. Then she have all the ladies come out. You know what I'm saying? They say all their things, what they saying and everything. Then I come up there, it's like, I don't want to just interrupt, you know what I'm saying, Bogart. While the ladies is trying to talk and get all Kanye or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like get up there and just, you know what I'm saying, trying to maintain my decorum. You know what I'm saying? So it's, yes, my decorum. I'm saying I got a dictionary app just like everybody else, you know what I'm saying? I use the vocab. But anyway, my point is that, you know what I'm saying, I can see the importance of this right here because I'm a city dude, you know what I'm saying? I mean, first of all, I'm from Brooklyn. As far as I'm concerned, yeah. I mean, that's just speak for itself, you know what I'm saying? Not to diss nobody else's city. But I'm saying, me personally, I come from a culture and an art form that wouldn't exist without cities, you feel me? And hip-hop, you know what I'm saying, some of y'all, maybe not, y'all not really into the music or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I used to be an MC myself. And, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the first way y'all could have knew I was an MC, you know what I'm saying, is because I hold the microphone in the official MC posture. Y'all can see that right there. Y'all can see that, all right? So I'm saying it's just like it influenced me, you know what I'm saying? And it was a very creative energy, you know what I'm saying, that came out the cities, even though it came out the injustice, you know what I'm saying, the South Bronx, all that, you know what I'm saying, neglect. The city wasn't being taken care of. Nobody, you know what I'm saying, really cared about those communities. And they just, you know what I'm saying, developed their own innovation. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful right there. So it made me want to cry, you know what I'm saying? But it's like for me, I started to think about it, you know what I'm saying? What could they have did? You know what I'm saying? If they had some more resources, you know what I'm saying? If shorties had, you know what I'm saying, music programs, art programs, schools like these other people be having their schools, you know what I'm saying? What would it look like? So that's why I'm here with y'all. Y'all talking about justice, I'm going to tell y'all about justice. Me, my situation, you know what I'm saying? If you are certain kind of background, if you poor or you working class in this country, you know what I'm saying? The way you grow up ain't like everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And that be happening in the cities. That's very real, son. People need to know that. People need to realize it ain't always about money. Because I hear people saying like, oh, how come, you know what I'm saying, we don't just throw a whole lot of money. Some people don't care about the money. It costs less money to educate a dude like me than put me in a prison. But how come our justice system look how it do? You feel me? And I'm not trying to say I'm no angel, but I'm saying, just to give you an example, if you come from certain communities, you know what I'm saying, you poor and you black, there's drugs up in there, you know what I'm saying, you just trying to get to and from school without getting harassed by some big dudes with guns who ain't afraid to use them. That's right, I'm talking about NYPD. And my point is that, you know what I'm saying, it ain't just about, you know what I'm saying, how people got to live, but then on top of it, that it looked to me, I don't mean to be no cynical person, whatever, but it looked like some people is making a lot of money off that. You know what I'm saying? It looked like to me, certain people, you know what I'm saying, they don't want certain people to get education. So I know y'all ain't like that. That's why I'm here talking to y'all. I think, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to some folks in cities around the country, saying it look like they just taking African Americans and replacing, you know what I'm saying, like, I don't even know what you would call it. They replacing, seem like they replacing, I don't know, Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying, with cell blocks and death row. And that's my opinion right there, but I'm saying I just wish all people could see that we all equal if you give us opportunities. I'm not saying business shouldn't make money. I'm an entrepreneur myself, you know what I'm saying? After I got out the rap game, I knew I needed to, you know what I'm saying, do something for myself to try to, you know what I'm saying, build myself up. It wasn't a whole lot of jobs in my community, you feel me? So I became an entrepreneur myself. And, you know, some people, they might refer to what I do as being a barber, but I prefer the term follicular aesthetics counselor. Thank y'all. And, you know, that's me. That's my creativity. I know I could, you know what I'm saying? I got something to offer if I get the opportunities. You feel me? And I just want to say one last thing. Being from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? I seen what happened with Atlantic Yards. I wish y'all would have talked to them. You feel me? Because it's like we was out there thinking it was going to be some jobs. You know what I'm saying? I'm still waiting. You feel me? So I don't know who got paid, but it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it been so long. I mean, I ain't even had no kids when it started. Now I got a baby daughter. She gonna be so old, she gonna be able to apply with me when I go get my job. So I'm saying I hope everybody get the opportunities, not just some. Not just some people always seem to be getting their subsidies and then blaming some of us that ain't really getting nothing. But that's just my, you know what I'm saying, opinion. And I appreciate y'all time. I'm saying I really feel this right here. If I had another, you know what I'm saying, opportunity to go back to school, I might become a, you know what I'm saying, a different kind of urban planner. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, on the real, I appreciate y'all. Yeah. And next time y'all come through Brooklyn, I'll hook y'all up. You know what I'm saying? You might could hear me spit a little something I wrote. You know, I also still do the rhyming on the side. And y'all could come in. You know what I'm saying? People come in, they put their hands together, whatever, including the white people. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, it's all love. You feel me? So, yeah, keep doing what you do. I appreciate y'all. Peace.
Thank you very much. I've had a fabulous time with you, Ford. Thank you for your just city. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.